Let's welcome our guest, Mr. Gary Griffith, former Commissioner of Police. And of course, we are here to speak about the ruling of the High Court. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Gary Griffith.
Hi, good morning, sir. Good morning, Tobago.
I'm not hearing downstairs, guys. Good morning, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, yeah, good morning.
All right, just give us your take on what yesterday, of course, the High Court ruled that the matter will be handed over to the Commissioner of Police and to the Police Service Commission for further investigation. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, it is amazing that the Trinidad and Tobago Express could try to mislead the country. And worse yet, we have an Attorney General that has misled the country yet again. Initially, when it is that we filed for an injunction to prevent them from moving any further, the state appealed the injunction. They lost. The injunction stayed, and the Attorney General had the audacity to mislead the country to say that they won. And now the state and the taxpayers don't have to pay my legal costs because they lost. He has come back and done the same thing again. The state has lost emphatically. I could give you the order. The order states, and I just quick points here. The court declares that this so-called report by the audit committee should not be published to any party other than the Commissioner of Police or the Police Service Commission. Remember, I sent this to court to demand that it must not go to Parliament. 2, they stated that the claimant must be given an opportunity to be heard in relation to any investigation. It was not done, so they have agreed to what I asked for. 3, the Police Service Commission, no investigation to ensure that the prohibition would be absolute. 4, the action by the individual, which is Keith Rowley, was irrational. It is here on 160 in the court order. The court has stated that the Prime Minister acted in an irrational manner, and the Express and the Attorney General has the audacity to mislead the country to say that they won. And 5, they stated that he was in breach of rules of my natural justice and fairness. It is here. The Attorney General sent a release to the country to state that no natural justice was breached. It is here in 160. Natural justice and fairness in relation to the claimant, saved as provided for in the preceding relief granted. 6, an injunction is granted restraining the defendants from laying or causing to be laid any summary or part in Parliament. This is what Keith Rowley wanted. Look at number 6. Keith Rowley said it was going to Parliament. The court has now stated to Keith Rowley, shut up, you're talking nonsense. You cannot send a report like this to Parliament. He lost. It is stated here in 161. We move on to 7. It also stated that the court became alarmed at the executive exerted power to send persons in a team of ex-police officers who are no longer subject to the police service rules and regulations to investigate police records. That is 7. This has also opened a Pandora's box for all FUL holders and persons who are firearm dealers to sue the state now for hiring civilians to interfere and intercept documents of a confidential nature. We move on to 8. It is said that the records related to would fall into the hands of the or other persons acting on behalf of the executive. What they're saying there is that the court is disturbed that confidential documents are supposed to be belonging to the police service will now be in the hands of politicians. 9, I could go on and on. Then we have 10, of the police record falling into the hands of the executive. And in closing that point, it is before the court that the court felt compelled to express its deep concern with that position, that police records could fall into the hands of the executive. And why did the Commissioner of Police hand this over to the executive?
Okay.
They have lost almost every single matter to what we requested.
Okay.
Mr. Griffith, and we hear them. We hear them loud and clear, and that clarity is very important for our viewers and listeners. But just for additional context, of course, the committee's mandate was to look at the procedures for granting FULs, shooting ranges, variations to licenses, identifying those in possession of firearms, and other related matters. And even under Section 17 of the Constitution, the National Security Council committed no wrongdoing. If you look at under Section 75, because they were tasked with appointing a committee and to investigate the operations. So that is a fact.
No, sorry, you're 100% wrong. I just read out that they were wrong. I just read out that what they stated is that did not. All right, let me explain. I was in the National Security Council, gentlemen. I was a Minister of National Security. There's nothing wrong. Any government can have any audit. So this was never about us. So the lies of the Express and the Attorney General to say that they won. We will not fight for any government to have an audit. So that is not what this is about. What the court stated is that there's nothing wrong with a National Security Council having an audit. But you cannot have an audit by hiring civilians to investigate matters of the police. You cannot have an audit to try to discredit people without natural justice by speaking to the individual. You cannot have an audit and then try to take it in Parliament to try to spread lies, just like you did in Emailgate. So that is the point. So trying to say that the National Security Council was when they're right. No, I just read you 11 points in the court order to show that they were wrong. They abused their authority and they lost, which is why they will also have to pay me in court in my legal costs. So it is not about the National Security Council having the right to an audit. Of course, any 5-year-old child will know that a National Security Council could do any audit, but you cannot go and interfere into the police service. You cannot hire civilians to get confidential information in the police. You have no authority as a politician to hire people to investigate. You cannot have these people now give information back to the executive, which is what the court order stated, and late in Parliament. 11 different things we put out to show that the NSP were wrong.
Yeah, we got you. All right. Well, let's deal now with well, you're saying you were denied the rights to natural justice. And of course, the court is saying under Section 75, they have the rights to pursue that direction. Speak to us about the rights.
The court. Listen, in 160 in the court order, it was irrational and is in breach of the rules of natural justice and fairness in relation to the claimant, save as provided for in the preceding relief granted. So you want to read 160. We have to read and do not be misled by the lies of the Attorney General. So look, it's there. The court order in 160 stated emphatically that my natural justice was not adhered to. There was a breach of the rules of natural justice.
All right. But their response to that, Mr. Griffith, is that Section 75 of the Constitution allows them to do such. And the Constitution is not...
Read Section 70. See if Section 75 of our Constitution allows a National Security Council to have an investigation and investigate something without speaking to the individual who's being investigated. It does not say that, sir. It gives you authority to have an audit. It gives you the authority to research. It does not give you the authority to breach natural justice, because if what you're saying is true, it means that any government could just hire somebody, pay them big money, lie about the person, put it in Parliament, discredit the person, and the person has no rights. This is what the court order has just stated. Read the court order, para 160. You can't say the National Security Council has a right to infringe on the natural justice of a citizen. The court has just stated that, which is why the court stated that it cannot go to Parliament. They lost in every form and fashion. The Express and the Attorney General have misled the country. Look, it's here. It is here. I ask you to read the court order.
Okay, and Mr. Griffith, of course, you were granted an injunction restraining the Prime Minister and his ministers from laying the report in Parliament. And we understand once it reached in Parliament that technically would protect them from any claims of defamation, damages, and so on. So we understand that. But who should this committee comprise of, Mr. Griffith? And where should we go, seeing that there's one side where the contents of the report should be handed to you and whoever else is involved, as opposed to going to the Parliament and going to the media. But where should it go, and who should the committee comprise of, Mr. Griffith?
Good point. The point, and what's what the court said, the executive, which being the politicians, cannot hire civilians to go into the police service to investigate the police service. It is here. They stated that his actions were irrational. They stated in 163, how could you put ex-police officers who are no longer subject to the police service and regulations to investigate the police records? Look at the damn state court. It is the worst. This government is hard, and they are lying and misleading the country. So the point being is that if you're in the National Security Council and there's a concern for something, you can form a committee. You could have the committee do some research. If it is that the committee picks up anything that may be sensitive or illegal, then it is you take it to the police, which is what the court is saying, which is what we said all the time. You cannot hire civilians, pay them big money, and expect them to investigate. McDonald Jacob has questions to answer now as well, because the firearm holders, the firearm dealers who have been investigated by these civilians who have no authority, and based on their incompetence, did not understand that if you do such an investigation, you must speak to the head of the organization, which they refuse to do, which is also put in the court order. So what should have happened is the NSC is supposed to, just as he stated in 75, the NSC has a right to be able to go and do any research or to form a committee. But that committee, if they pick up anything of an irregular nature, they take it to the police. You don't take it to Parliament. Why? Why do you think Keith Rowley wanted to go to Parliament? He wanted to go to Parliament to read out all of the lies of it is alleged, we have been told, and we have heard, and there are rumors. And that is how the PNM works. They work by spreading the same lies over and over, but it worked in email gate. You say the same lie over and over, people will believe it. So he tried the same thing with me this time around, and I blocked him, and I won. They have refused. The court has stated that it must not go to Parliament. If you have a situation, you feel there's a criminal offense, take it to the police. And now, for those 4 jokers in that audit committee, if they take anything to the police and it is not true, they could be charged for wasting police time, and now the individuals can sue them for defamation.
All right, so the matter, as we said before, and I'll repeat, that is now in the hands of the Commissioner of Police and the Police Service Commission for further investigation. Do you trust the Service Commission and the Commissioner of Police to investigate without fear of ill will, malice, as to bring to an end this whole fire user license issue? Do you trust them?
Sir, you 100%, because they have been investigating for the last 2 years. They've been tapping the phones of everyone involved in firearms. They've been hunting from pillar to post. They have appointed over 50 police officers to dig up and see what you can find, which shows incompetence of any police service in the world. You don't dig up to hope to find a crime. If there's a crime, you direct it. They have put 50 police officers 24 hours a day to try to hope you could find something pertaining to criminal activity, based on the stupidity of Stanley John when he stated it was a well-oiled criminal industry. And 2 years later, not one person has been charged with anything as it pertains to white-collar crime pertaining to bribery or corruption with firearms. So that shows the point. The police are doing their job, and there's nothing to be seen. There was never any crime committed. The politicians lied, and because of their lies, it has now been exposed by the court order.
And Mr. Griffith, just for clarity, so that our station will get in trouble, when you said that tapping or getting into the government is spying or something to that effect, I just want to be clear that this is your opinion and not the view of Channel 5. However,
no, it's not my opinion. Yeah, correct. Let it be known that I actually have it in court. I have it in court because I have the documents to show that my phones have been intercepted with no due process and no reason. So that is actually in court, where the state is being sued for intercepting the phones of myself with no reason to do so.
All right. So after this investigation, we lost him. After after this, all right. And so I'm staying with the Police Service Commission and the Commissioner of Police going forward with this matter. And after their investigation, would you be, if the outcome is not in your favor, what would be your response?
Well, sir, but that's the point. You hear me, sir? Hello, you still hearing me?
We're hearing you.
All right. Yeah, well, that is the point. For 2 years, they've been investigating. There is nothing to investigate. That is just the point. If there's nothing to investigate, there's nothing to be concerned about. Not for 2 years, not one person a police officer, they actually have come to me pertaining to my demand for police officers to be investigated because of a number of different things with the merit list and so forth. There's never been one time at any time whatsoever that I have been involved in anything questionable as it pertains to firearms. It was all a lie. It was fabricated. There's been no witness, no evidence, no substance, no data, no recording, no documentation, nothing. So what is there to investigate? That is just the point. So for 2 years, they've been throwing this lie to the country. But you know, the PNM, you have 150,000 people. If Keith Rowley says that the earth is square, they will believe it because they are blinded by anything he says that they will believe. And that is their right. But the good thing is there are 200,000 what are known as floating voters, people who have actually a brain and who can actually think and will look at the logic. And the logic shows right here that this is a government that has directed itself into a dictatorial government where they want to be involved in directing investigations. The court has neutralized it. So there's nothing to investigate. So for 2 years, there's been all that you've been hearing is Emailgate Reloaded, firearm corruption, firearm corruption. Not one person has been arrested in any aspect for the last 2 years or even held for questioning as it pertains to corruption in firearms. Nothing.
All right.
And in terms of course, no arresting at all. But what was the inception of this? Why do you feel it fitting to investigate the firearm users license department?
Good question. This was a typical PN employee. If you say the same lie over and over, you hope that people will believe it. Again, I want to re-emphasize, every single person that acquired a firearm, there was scrutiny, there was a due process, and 4,000 persons received firearms from me out of 50,000 applicants. And the reason because of that backlog is because of the incompetence of those before me who did not do their job. If persons are every single person who acquired a firearm under me, they were eligible to do so. Not one person lost their firearm, misplaced it, used it for a crime or used it for a murder. 100% success. Half of that 4,000 were for law enforcement officers, police officers, soldiers, sailors, customs officers, prison officers whose lives were at risk. Every single thing I put in the firearm department, such as the card with the chip, giving firearms to law enforcement officers, they came back 2 years later in Parliament just a month ago to endorse what it is that I did. And so when it is, and at no time has there been any report of anyone involved in bribery or corruption. No report, no witness, no document. All it was Keith Rowley or the government going in Parliament and lying and misleading the country. And up to now, you still 2 years later. And that is the problem, gentlemen. My quick point here is if a government just hires somebody, pays them big money, they can write whatever they want. And that's what we call all of these reports and audits. So Stanley John writes this nonsense. People say, wow. And up to now, and he's going to get sued by me as well, because you don't mislead the country to say somebody broke the law and you can't prove it. And that's the point. What the court said yesterday is that this is a police must be investigating this. You do not hire civilians to mislead the country and then you hide in Parliament like a coward, which is what he was, a coward. He wanted to go to Parliament to mislead the country and lie so he could not be sued. So your name, man, Keith Rowley, go ahead now and say what is happening in public. I have no concern about the audit. As soon as you lie about me, I have about 11 people in court right now, and I'm busting everybody through it because I'm making big money about this. When it is you lie and you defame Gary Griffith, I'm coming for you.
Mr. Gary Griffith, all right, so let us go to what we are faced with. Obviously, the murder rate has, 600 plus murders in 2022. We over 100 and something in 3 months, roughly. Your formula worked to some extent during your tenure, and of course, we know that the nation is clamoring for a person with your approach to crime. Worked then. We now have a female commissioner of police. Yesterday, she made a statement that it's a spiritual issue and we need God. Your approach was to get the job done and then God after. I don't know, but just respond to her statement and using the method that you used to maybe have had the crime under control, so to speak.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. She's copying the lines of Stephen Williams. When it is you don't have any ideas of how to push forward to reduce crime, you try to say this, but it's up to God, it's up to society, it's up to the teachers, it's up to the parents, it's up to the community. You find all the avenues to not to put the blame on you. And that's what she has done, unfortunately. But we have an opposition member of parliament. I'm not going to call Julian John's name. She boasted, oh, this is a perfect crime plan. And when you ask Julian John, what is her crime plan? All Earl Christopher did is say that she's going to reduce crime by June. And Julian John jumps up, yes, I love it. Perfect crime plan. Now you're hearing the crime plan is that she intends to reduce crime in June through divine intervention. The fact of the matter is that, yes, it is very good for prayers, but God helps those who help themselves. You've got to go out there and realize that it is a war out there, and you've got to take the fight to the criminals. You're not going to get that holding a cane and garbage staying in your office. You've got to be out in the streets. You've got to take the fight to the criminals.
given that you're actually saying what I said earlier, but I want you to, you're standing by and you're looking at this as a concerned citizen, and you said that you would lend support to the new commissioner. That's just words. Do you intend to seriously, physically, or in other way support the commissioner in battling this crime issue, regardless of the battle that you have with the government?
No, definitely. I mean, anyone who doesn't want Christopher to succeed, anyone who doesn't want to support the police service, I will see them as an enemy of the state. I don't care. And in fact, I want the government to succeed. I want Keith Rowley to succeed. If it is that I want him to fail, it means that I want the country to fail. And I am a patriot to this country. I've sworn an oath on 3 occasions as a soldier, as a politician, and as a police officer. I will do what is required to help the government, to help the country, to help Christopher. I have sent several messages to her. But sometimes ego and attitude and the old policing, listen, it's we time now, Gary gone, let's go back to what we used to do. Walk around, have roadblocks on Ash Wednesday, shut down everything that Gary Griffith did with the use of technology that dealt with improving our grade as it pertained to human trafficking. The last time we were upgraded was because when I was a minister, I put 11 policies in place. The downgrade, have us reduce crime drastically. The highest reduction in crime in our history was my last year. So all the things that I can do, I can assist her. I want her to succeed. I want to help her. She's not going to accept it. I sent several messages. She acknowledged, but she's not going to do it because of that old police attitude. Look, he's not a police. It's we time again. Let's just shut down and dismantle every single thing. 111 odd policies I put in place that peg back criminal elements, that had my last full year at 342 murders. Now it's over 600, almost 2 times the amount. And I can't force her to accept my advice. All I can do is I am there, and I can tell you, if she speaks to me, I can give the assurance you're going to see a turnaround, because we had a template. It worked. It pegged back the criminals. It's up to her to accept it or not.
All right, Mr. Griffith, we want to thank you for being with us this morning, and we look to see the outcome of the further investigation by the Police Service Commission and, of course, the Commissioner of Police, which you trust that will do a good job on showing that we get to the end of this matter.
Let me clarify. There's no police investigation from the audit. What they stated in court is if you have anything further on this audit, you've forwarded to the police, which means basically the audit has ended. So what they've told the audit committee is if you have any information of a criminal nature, send it to the police. But they don't. The audit is only, it is alleged, it is rumored, and we have heard, which is why Keith Rowley wanted to take it to Parliament. It is the one place you could lie and not be sued.
All right, thank you, sir. And of course, all the best to you. And of course, we miss you, I must be honest with you. This is me as Commissioner of Police. Yeah, you had the thing under control, man. All right, thank you, sir. And all the best to you, my friend. Yeah. I see what you want about Gary. He was doing a fantastic job. I don't care.